You sprinkled it on your breakfast this morning without a second thought, but the journey of that simple pinch begins in an alien landscape. This map of India shows the origin point of 70% of the nation's entire salt supply. To find it, we have to zoom in on a single geographic anomaly in Gujarat, the Rann of Kutch. You won't find sterile laboratories or automated factories out here. This staggering output relies entirely on the labor of a single demographic, the Agariya community. Their production relies on an unbroken chain of indigenous knowledge. For 600 years, families have passed down the physical techniques required to coax crystals from the harsh earth. India's food supply is built upon the labor of the Agariya community and their ability to extract white crystals from an uninhabitable void. This scale illustrates the math. A farmer produces 20 kilograms of raw salt, selling it for a single 10 rupee coin. By the time it reaches a city grocery store, the price multiplies hundreds of times. To harvest it, farmers spend hours every day dragging a heavy bladed tool called a dantara across the fields. If they miss a single day, the salt permanently bonds to the ground. They perform this grueling work while standing barefoot in highly concentrated brine for 8 months a year. The corrosive water slowly breaks down the tissue and skin of their legs. The physical damage creates a grim medical reality. When an Agariya worker passes away, their lower legs are often so deeply calcified and scarred by the salt that they physically cannot burn on a traditional funeral pyre. The cheap price of consumer salt is a direct illusion, subsidized by the bodily destruction of the people harvesting it. Surviving in this environment requires constant adaptation. There are no power grids here, no running water, and when the sun sets, the desert plunges into total darkness. Without reliable cell service, the locals have engineered their own visual telegraph system. A simple pocket mirror reflects the intense sunlight, allowing them to send urgent, silent signals across miles of flat terrain. To ensure their children receive an education in a place without buildings, they rely on a fleet of 35 retrofitted buses. These mobile classrooms navigate the harsh desert, bringing the school directly to the shifting settlements. And while the landscape is a monochromatic expanse of white, the community actively counters it. The Agariya women wear hyper-vibrant pink and purple traditional dresses, asserting a bright cultural identity against the blinding white void. The Agariyas have engineered a complex, self-sustaining society that functions in total defiance of its environment. The physical extremes of the Rann are now secondary to the pressure of modern legal and bureaucratic progress. This boundary map illustrates the conflict. In 1973, the government drew the strict lines of the wild ass sanctuary over the region to protect the local donkey population. That zoning law technically rendered the Agariyas' 600-year-old profession illegal on their ancestral land. As the map projects further, we see new, rigid geometric grids of corporate solar parks moving in. These projects claim the remaining open territory under the banner of green energy, squeezing the traditional farmers out of the flats. The laborers recognize their grim political reality. Animals do not vote, but they drive conservation funding. Without formal education or alternative job prospects, the farmers have zero leverage against these incoming projects. Environmental protection and clean energy initiatives are acting as bureaucratic weapons, quietly eradicating an ancient indigenous workforce. To understand the historical irony of this situation, you have to look at the macro history of India. Here, salt is the ultimate political catalyst. During the era of colonial rule, the British Empire held a strict monopoly on the production of this mineral. They used heavy taxation on salt to economically subjugate the entire Indian population. That monopoly was broken in 1930 when Mahatma Gandhi weaponized the commodity during the Dandi March. By illegally boiling seawater to harvest his own salt, he fractured the empire's economic grip. Contrast that historical triumph with the present day in the Rann of Kutch. The direct descendants of this revolutionary trade are essentially stateless, lacking secure land rights, clean drinking water, and basic healthcare. A handful of salt bought a nation its freedom 90 years ago, but the people who bleed to harvest it today